Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Critical Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jimmy Good, and joining me, as always, is my go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Joe Lever. Hi, Joe.
Governor.
Hello. So, as we did with last week, Joe, we're going to start off with a little bit of an icebreaker, a little bit of a game. And because I didn't think of another more interesting one, because we did Animal Fact last week, we're going to go with another one. So this animal, Joe, you have to guess it. I'll give you 3 guesses. And then if you don't get it by then, I'm sure you will, because it's pretty easy. So it's a semi-aquatic mammal that has a duckbill and lays eggs.
Platypus.
There you go. Really easy. I made that one way too easy for you, but I just...
Could be another one. Come on.
No, that's a good one because not a lot of people... That's an interesting thing. A mammal that lays eggs.
Don't they have a poisonous beak or a spur on their leg?
Whoa.
It's like a spur on their leg, isn't it? They have a poisonous something.
I'm gonna look it up. Interesting.
Possibly the weirdest animal on Earth, if you really think about it.
The platypus is the only Australian mammal known to be venomous. Adult males have a pointed spur located just above the heel of each hind leg, which can be used to inject poison produced by a gland in the thigh. This is from this Australian Platypus Conservancy. Cool. Oh, interesting. Hey, yeah. Look, we're all learning stuff. Cool, Joe. You know more about the platypus than I do.
You're welcome, everyone.
If you are new, though, we don't just talk about animals.
Jack Hanna ain't got nothing on me.
It's always Jack Hanna is a friend of the show. Thanks, Jack Hanna. Tweet at Jack Hanna. Tell him the Critical Podcast would love to have him on. We'd love to hear his thoughts on the movies and video games we talk about. Because that's what we talk about here. We talk about movies, video games, and TV shows and books. And yes, we do
animal facts.
We do count cookbooks because those are the best books to read. I don't usually get through the reading material. I'm more of I like the pictures, and I usually just get really hungry. I'm just like, oh, that looks so nice. But today, because again, it was kind of a light week because after Comic-Con, we're still kind of coming out of that. We had E3, about a month and a half ago, almost 2 months ago. We're getting close to it. We had some interesting news come out of some pictures of the new Superman in Supergirl, which is kind of interesting. We'll go over those. Talking about the fact that Avengers Infinity War used to be part 1 and part 2. Now it's just Avengers Infinity War, and there's another Marvel movie being made, where that other spot was. They just don't have a title for it right now. Kind of like the Justice League.
Infinity War Part 2.
Part 2. Yes, that's it. And then kind of because Suicide Squad is coming out, I had an interesting kind of chat with somebody on Twitch the other night, Mr. Chris McKeague, who was talking about an idea. He kind of pitched an idea for a Batman movie, and I kind of want to throw it at you, Joe. See what you think, see if it sticks. But let's get right into it. Joe, these new Superman pictures. What do you think of this guy? What do you think of these shots? Obviously, we haven't seen him in action, but how are you feeling so far?
I have absolutely no feeling whatsoever towards him.
Oh, that's a bad thing, right?
Yeah, well, the pictures don't really help him out much. It's so hard. I don't know. I don't like the way the suit looks as much. It looks good for TV. I don't necessarily like how his cape kind of comes over his shoulders awkwardly. Almost shoulder paddy looking.
Okay.
Alright. That's it for aesthetics. Otherwise, he looks pretty good. Guy's in shape. Good for him.
What do you think of the shin guards?
They're fine.
Mm-hmm.
They're fine, whatever.
Sure.
They're a little different than Man of Steel, right? Man of Steel, it's a little more sleek and form-fitting all the way through to the foot.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Because it's all one piece.
Oh, you're totally right.
To speak.
Yeah, for sure. His is like a second skin, basically.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah.
This one, okay, it's realistic, whatever, but it's hard as a fan or a viewer of the DC universe with everything that's going on in the film industry as opposed to the television side of things. It's hard to separate that. So we got a new Flash coming in, right? Okay, and that sort of stuff. So it kind of throws you a little bit. But this guy, I don't know. He looks the part, sure.
Yeah,
he looks the part, but that picture doesn't really do him any good where he's kind of pinching his lips together and he's about to take he just took a deep breath and can't let any air out.
Yeah, these pictures we have aren't the official. These are on-set pictures we're looking at. There is more official one. Maybe I could find for you here. But
yeah, it just looks a little hokey, but I mean, he looks the part though. Still, he looks a little bit too much like a nice guy. At least Henry Cavill can look a little mean.
Yeah, that's true.
Or what's the word? Trying to think of the word.
Intimidating?
Not mean, but intimidating. There you go.
Sure.
Yeah, this guy looks almost like he's too young and too nice looking.
Yeah, if you look at this other picture I sent, this is the first one I saw, and it's kind of like the one they dropped with this like season 2 kind of promo, or just the promotional stuff. And he doesn't look very good in this particular picture. He looks kind of like like if Superman went on like a pretty heavy diet. Like he's very angular. His face is very angular in this picture. Not that Superman can't have that. But again, like I've heard other people talk about this too. If you look back at like the Superman that we had, like even in the animated series, everyone's kind of like a big V shape, and they're kind of weird looking and like really like, you know, it doesn't make any sense. And this is like what a person would actually look like, you know, if they were like a humanoid Superman, obviously this way. Yeah. And this is, you know, this too, to keep in mind, we don't have Henry Cavill, who does look, you know, like just the Superman we know, you know, obviously. And
I don't know what they did with Clark Kent from Smallville, but
oh yeah, well, you mean Tom Welling?
Tom Welling, you should have vied for this a bit better.
That would have been great. Oh my gosh, people wanted that. You know, Joe and I definitely did too. But I'm sure they didn't do that because then they're like, oh, then people are going to be like, you have to tie it into Smallville, and it's like, you don't have to do that. But
no, don't even recognize the whole past as Smallville and all that. They could create a whole new spin-off like Tom Welling and Superman in current day. Oh.
The only way I'm watching that, Joe, is if they get Michael Rosenbaum back, because really he was the staying power of that show for me. I would watch like 10 seasons of Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor. Perfect. So good. Dreams. But yeah, he doesn't look too bad, and this is what I was going to say before, this is a TV budget costume, that one that we get in the movies, that second skin, if you will. Obviously, that one is just like leagues ahead and above it, but that's because how much money, is probably put into that suit compared to this one. Yeah. And he's only going to be, I know he's going to play a pretty significant role, but I don't think he's going to be in every episode, because it would kind of take away from a lot of the problems I think Supergirl would have. I'm sure. It's just like,
let's double team them all. Well, this show's boring.
Yeah,
now.
Just whisper Clark anytime you want to, and it's over. You just be like, Clark, help me.
Clark, help, Clark.
Yeah. But he doesn't look too bad.
I'm not a big fan of the suit. It's okay for TV budget style, but the boots, they're not. I mean, they even have a wrinkle at the ankle,
Yeah, sure.
Come on.
Joe, you can't be to me.
What if he rolls his ankle amidst the battle? Come on.
A classic Superman Achilles heel thing, rolling his ankle.
Stiffen those puppies up, and then you know what else? What? If you scroll through the gallery of photos, I'm on number 9 of 13. And it's pathetic. He's shorter than that 15-year-old, 13-year-old kid standing behind him.
Oh, Joe.
They could have at least gave him platform boots.
Just Superman with just like 2-foot-high platform boots. He's just walking around. He's like, hello down there.
With goldfish in them, like from the 70s.
Sure. That's our pitch for how they could improve on Superman's costume. I hope you're listening,
Absolutely
CW.
Not, but I mean, come on. He's a little small, don't you think? Granted, the guy's in good shape. You can tell he's in good freaking shape, but...
Yeah, to me, Joey kind of looks more like a little more of that kind of ripped, like more of like a toned, like muscular person. He's not like the brute force that, like, again, Henry Cavill is. And again, I keep using that word, but he, has crazy trainers, and they have like a strict regiment and stuff. And I'm sure that this guy might have some of that too, but not to the same extent. He's not on movie posters and stuff. He's not like, I'm the trimmed Superman. Like,
yeah, Henry Cavill's physical program that he was on, fitness program and diet and all that, was outrageous. I remember way back when Man of Steel was coming out, it was, it was a big deal. And they had articles on like his workout routines and his diet. His diet was a little bit off the charts. I know it was healthy, but like a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff to help him build the muscle.
Yeah.
And then his workouts were like all day long, and they were like military style workouts, and they were just ungodly. Like, yeah, that guy suffered for that role. So
well, that's good. I mean, he should.
Off to him.
Yeah, for sure.
But This guy's in decent shape. I mean, look at his guns. He's got some biceps on him, you know. I mean, he looks all right. He's not quite as tall as he needs to be. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, quick aside.
Hey.
Oh, what?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Henry Cavill, hairy chest, yay or nay, Joe?
Hey, dude, come on. He's a freaking jacked up alien badass.
But he always shaves his beard.
He's classic that way.
He's like, if I take my shirt off, you can see my big lumberjack chest. But until then, I guess I don't have to worry about that anymore. Spoilers for Batman vs Superman right here. But Doomsday takes care of all those chest hairs. You know what I'm saying? You got him. Take that.
That wasn't too bad there, pal.
Thank you. I take what I can get. But yeah, I haven't really watched Supergirl. I know we tried watching it a while back, Joe. I was kind of hoping they'd put it on Netflix. And going forward, I know CW has a deal with Netflix that says 8 days after the season is done, I believe they're going to put out that season of like Supergirl season 2 and the Arrow and Flash and stuff like that. It's not like 8 days after each episode. It's just 8 days after the season. So that's kind of nice, that knowing that like maybe end of May, beginning of June, you can be like, oh, if I just didn't watch those, you can just right there. But I would still like to watch Supergirl. I'm just not going to go out of my way to try and find it right now. And if Tom Welling had been Superman, I probably would be a little more like into it. But
I'd be all over it.
This is fine. I still wish it could have been him. And oh well, this guy looks pretty good. We have to see how he acts, and you know if he's got the demeanor. That's the biggest thing.
Jimmy, comment.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Comment, please. Boots, color of uniform. Comment.
You want me to, comment on those? Boots, color, and uniform. Boots.
And no comment is not an answer.
Oh yeah, no. So do I have to make a full comment?
Yeah. What do you think? Come on, colors, boots.
Colors, pretty good. Boots, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really opposed. Like the shin guards, they're fine. That's a nice way to kind of go opposed to having that kind of like the boot that Henry Cavill has. I don't like the belt. I see why they did it, because it looks a little strange if you focus too much on, the Batman vs Superman or Man of Steel one, because he's just like they got rid of, the red underwear on the outside. So this is kind of like the middle ground here.
A meet in the middle, yeah.
But it looks cheap to me, along with those kind of things holding the cape on there.
It does, yeah.
It looks a little cheap. I'm sorry.
The things holding the cape on are kind of annoying a little bit, kind of like shoulder pads, more cartoony. So I'd say this is more true to like the comic book style, cartoon style. I've really grown accustomed and grown attached to and really enjoy the color palette they chose for like Man of Steel costume. Mm-hmm. It's a little darker and it's real deep blue, almost to the point where in the right light it's black. The red is almost more of a maroon. It's probably the darkest, deepest red you could get without going to a brown.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's just got real depth to it and almost more natural looking. And this is like big rubber patches that were ironed on, the Superman S and all that. A little cheesy. Could they not have stolen the one off of Man of Steel just to be legit? I don't know.
I will tell you this, Joe. I think that these colors are going to be a little bit more what we'll see Superman with in the future, because I know they're going for a little bit more brighter colors, or just kind of the tone of stuff like that. So I think that we'll be seeing a little bit brighter in the future. Yeah. Which isn't, it'll be fine.
And what's with the pirate boots? All right, shin guards, no big deal. I'm all right with it. He's going to be kicking some butt, He doesn't want to get a stinger on the shin, right?
Yeah.
So let's get rid of the wrinkles at the ankles, guys. Let's beef these suckers up a little bit. I mean, he looks he just looks like a weird pirate,
Looks like a weird pirate. You heard it here first.
Like a pirate that went and painted his boots red and showed up to Halloween for the costume party.
Oh, here we go. I like it. I forget, like, obviously this is kind of like a strong material that he's wearing, but he's still the Man of Steel, Joe, so he's putting some pressure on all this. That's why there are wrinkles. He's when he flexes, the whole suit's about to rip off. No, I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure
yeah, especially the ankles, because of his cankles are so huge.
He works the cankles more than man. Like, he's walking around on those all the time. Krypton was hard on him.
His feet get swollen. He needs the wrinkles. The added bagginess of the boot allows him to get his gel insoles in there. You know, he's gelling like a felon, walking on cloud 9, baby.
That is so good, dude. Oh my gosh, I really like that. Hashtag gelling like a felon. It's poor Superman. If you go for his feet, that's his weak spot. But usually that's why he flies fist first towards the guys. He doesn't, go with the feet in, because if he gets those messed up, he's out. He's like, my ankles. It's my kryptonite.
My Achilles heel.
Yeah, he just jokes about the green rocks and the kryptonite. The real kryptonite are his weak ankles. Just so everybody knows. But yeah, I see that now. And obviously this is just an onset, so maybe when we're actually watching it, we probably won't see his boots too much at all, Joe, to be honest with you, because usually when they shoot, they don't do the full body shots. The first few shots we get of him will probably be full body, but after that it'll be like kind of waist up. I'm like, oh, this is, he's talking to somebody. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how good that is. But I'm excited that that Supergirl moved to the CW. I'm excited to see how all this comes together, because they announced a little while back that all of these Supergirl, Arrow, Flash, all these things are going to come into like the biggest crossover they've ever done on the for all that stuff. So it's going to be yeah, I just don't know how that's going to play with, like, I liked when Arrow took on Flash, and even that was like a little like, I'm like, okay, he kind of got that, but it's like Supergirl, man, that's kind of another story. I don't know. They might have to introduce Kryptonite to the Arrow world too, and he'll be like, just in case.
Is it bad that I feel like the casting for, I mean, nothing against them or any of that, but I feel like the casting is, I hate that I do it, but I compare it to Smallville every time. And I look back, I'm like, Tom Welling, man, that guy was a BA. That guy, he owned that role, man. He was born for it. But and then Laura Vandervoort playing Kara. She I don't know, she fit well. More than anything, I think she was just a pretty face to look at.
I think the new Supergirl is better, honest, Joe, because, yeah, again...
You know what? Yeah, she's not bad.
She's
I think
good.
Maybe I'm just, it's kind of...
From the little I've seen...
it because of what I'm seeing here with Superman.
Yeah, again, this is from the little I've seen of Supergirl. If she's really horrible, I just remember Laura Vandervoort being like, oh, she's fine. Again, like you said, Joe, like a pretty face to look at. But besides that, I wasn't thinking like, oh, man, like she's a compelling and interesting character. She's a lot like Superman. It wasn't like that, so...
Oh, you know something, Jimmy? The one thing that they did that bugged me in Smallville with Tom Welling is, I think, at the end, didn't they slick his hair back, like, really tight?
Oh, yeah, I think for, like, when he was Superman at the very, very end. Is that what you mean?
I think there was one moment where I remember his hair just being, like, slicked back as tight as they could get it, and I was like, what?
They got it.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, we have to do it. That's what he does. That's why he's so fast he can run home quick and gel it up. He's like, all right, this is good. It won't get all crazy in the wind.
I'm just saying, Tom Welling, man, everybody should know this. I loved Smallville. That is like my series. When I have kids, I'm going to glue them to a couch and they are going to watch it. Mm-hmm. All 10 seasons, one day.
Including the Stride episode where his friend... that goes away for a long time, whose name I forget, comes back,
yeah.
And what's his name, Joe? Do you remember him?
Oh God, I don't remember myself.
Was it like Will
Pete,
or Pete?
Pete Ross.
So this guy comes back. All right, so if you haven't seen Smallville, just brief thing. I'm just a quick aside. But anyway, it's just like Clark Kent, Superman's beginnings back in Kansas, in Smallville, the town. But his buddy Pete from high school, he finds out eventually that he's like that, and he goes away for a few seasons, comes back for one episode. And it's like a Stride gum commercial because he goes somewhere. It's like a Stride gum factory or shipping facility. And he gets like infused with the power of Stride gum. And he's like basically Mr. Fantastic. He can stretch all around. So he's playing basketball with Clark like he used to. And Clark could, dunk on him because he's Superman, basically. And he starts playing with him, and he does like a cool dunk himself, and he's like, now we're finally
stretches his arm out and dunks it over top of Clark, and
he's like, now we're the same level. And I'm like, dude, you don't even understand, man. Like, he's got like 20 more powers. Like, Clark could he'd look at you and you would die. Like, you don't get it.
He could melt you into a puddle of rubber.
It was just so funny. And then he's gone after the episode. He's just like, yeah, well, that was pretty good, Clark. It's good to see you. I'm like, and they just talk about Stride like the whole time. Oh my gosh. Oh, anyway, so you're gonna make your kids.
Gum, man, it lasts for hours.
You're gonna make your kids watch all 10 seasons in one day, which is impossible.
Even the bad ones.
Unless you got multiple TVs running.
Okay, there were bad ones. The Stride gum one is one good example. What's another one? Obviously, the vampire one for the Halloween issue.
Yikes.
I mean, come on. Those 2 episodes, it's almost like the writers were just like, you know what? It's Friday afternoon. I'm ready to go party for Halloween. Let's get this shit done.
Yeah, zombie apocalypse episode. Also the one
not my favorite
where
there,
Lana gets hooked on drugs. Kind of just a wasted episode.
That wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
It kind of tied in with things, all right.
You just like it because isn't that when Damon from Vampire Diaries, isn't he with the drug stuff? Or is that a different episode?
Different one.
Okay.
Different one.
I get it confused. I remember they teased the Suicide Squad stuff in that one, and I remember thinking like, oh, this is gonna be so cool, and then they don't really do anything with it. I'm like, oh. I'm like, Amanda Waller.
It is pretty cliche if you think about it, but it's just well done, and it gives you the good feels, you know? It's like, you know, especially if you're that kid going through high school, you're watching that, and you're just like, oh man, I wish I was Clark Kent in high school, you know?
I will tell everyone this, though. If you haven't watched it, the first 2 seasons are pretty much like Clark learns a new ability almost every other episode, and then he fights someone that he could easily destroy, but they fight near some kryptonite, and so he's kind of like depowered for the last like maybe 8 minutes of the show, and then gets past it, and then beats the living... He just knocks him out. It's that fast. Like, he's just like, and they're knocked out on the ground, and he's like, yep, I'm pretty fast. Like,
yeah, so, you know, the town's been riddled with kryptonite from the meteor shower. It's whatever, you know, but yeah, I get it. It's a little cliche and standard set up for the first couple seasons, but there is more depth to it than that. Yeah, that's the standard plot to each one, but there's more that goes on around that plot that is what you essentially become more interested in.
Sure. Also, Lana's parents, who die in like the first episode, they die in a really comical fashion. They're like sitting... I don't know if it's they show it in the first episode, it's another one, but they show that meteor shower, and they're like standing out by a car, and they kind of look at her, and then they just like explode. Like, you know, it's just so fast.
Shut up, man! Shut up! I cried!
I will say this.
I cried!
Probably one of the best intro songs that you could ever have in a song, or just for a show. I
still listen to it today. Look it up on Spotify, Smallville Top Hits.
What's the name of the band? That's not Lifehouse. Is it?
Remy Zero.
Remy
man.
Zero.
Come on, get with it.
Lifehouse was another band that was on there. It was a lot
Lifehouse was on there a lot. And you know what? Lifehouse is kind of a Christian band from what I can tell, but their music is flat out good. If you want some music to just chill to and relax to and enjoy, Lifehouse isn't bad. I like them.
Sure. One thing I will say, though, is it did remind me in those first early seasons kind of like... the OC, because what they would do a lot in that show too, because I watch a lot of shows, is that they would have like, you know, their conflict and stuff, but near the end there'd always be like a party where like some sort of kind of like not a really well-known band would be playing, and they'd just kind of be at a party, but it would be kind of like not a pop band, but like a band that was kind of prevalent today, like a modern band, and that happened a lot in the first few seasons, and I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. It's kind of like Joe was saying, you got that kind of old school high school, like we go to a party and there's like this kind of band playing that a few people have heard of, and they're pretty good live or whatever, and you know.
Yeah. You know what? One Republic was featured in that Stride Gum one.
Oh, really?
They were playing a concert in the Stride Gum warehouse.
Oh my god.
Stride was hosting the concert. And Pete was the what do you call it, like the agent type
manager
guy,
type of guy.
Yeah. But anywho,
tangenting.
You know what it is? I'm a sucker for those early 2000s type movies and all that. I feel like, you know, all that punk rock and stuff back then, I identify with that a lot. You know, that was a time where I was kind of the age where I kind of got into that stuff and understood it and was getting involved with, you know, the media that was out there, and whether it was film, music, TV, etc. And I always think back to, like, first off, Smallville, which had a good run. I mean, it was all the way into 2010 or 11.
Yeah, it's 10 seasons long.
Yeah, 2011, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Pretty sure, because it was 5 years ago in May or something.
Oh.
But anywho, it's just all good stuff. Or like you look back at like the American Pie movies, you know, it was like early 2000s, and it was kind of like it whatever, man. It just resonated with me. It was cool, you know. You get those punk rock songs and the fun like high school parties, and it's just fun, good fun stuff.
I really didn't think you were gonna say American Pie. Oh my gosh.
What else? What else is there? Can you think of anything else?
I don't know. Early 2000s. So I was like probably like I don't know 12 or 13. It's probably playing like
I just love the stuff like
Pokemon.
like listening to you got like Sum 41. And
oh no.
I know Third Eye Blind was big around that time, maybe even a little earlier than that too. They were around for quite a while. What Blink 182 was around that time, even earlier. All those bands, man, good stuff. And Smallville started in 2001, and I got hooked.
All right, well,
line and sinker. Anywho,
yeah.
That was quite the tangent. We went from this new Superman guy
all the way back to Smallville,
Supergirl, all the way to Smallville. But you know what it is I'm comparing the two, and I can't help but do it because I think the one thing that really hits home for me with Smallville, besides the era and all that, the feels, but I really thought the casting choices were excellent. And Jimmy, I think you can attest to that. Michael Rosenbaum, Lex Luthor, come on. And did we really have any complaints about Tom Welling as Smallville?
You can call him
Superman?
that because that's what Lois called him all the time too. Just like call him Smallville.
That's true, but we won't do that.
Yeah, yeah, no, they were all great. I would like to see what Michael Rosenbaum as like an old Lex Luthor, like in like 60s, 50s or 60s would be like. Because he always looked young. He did have a baby face, kind of. Like Lex just,
he still looks pretty young, and I think he's in his late 30s.
You're looking good, Mr. Rosenbaum. If you're listening, I know you're a friend of the show, just like Jack Hanna. He's listening in. One question, I have a meta question for you, kind of. I know it's tangent even further, but, Joe, we're talking about how much, you love Smallville and stuff like that. Do you think there is a generation that's watching these shows right now, like on Netflix or Hulu or just on TV, that like one day in like 10 years they're gonna be like, yeah man, like I was so into Supergirl, like Supergirl was my thing, like I loved it so much, or like I loved the Arrow, like it started off as kind of like weird and different from the other kind of superhero shows I had been watching. Do you think that we're gonna have that, like a few people maybe here and there, like diehard fans when they were younger, like 12, 13, 14?
Are you posing that question to me?
Yeah, I'm posing that question. You can just say yay or nay, or, obviously there'll probably be a few, but do you think
obviously there's going to be that generation that is more modern, and they're going to, get hooked on a few episodes and start identifying with the characters and whatnot, but, chances are those people haven't been exposed to Smallville. They have nothing to compare it to, so that's it for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, of course there's going to be those people that are just diehard fans, and it's going to be a big deal to them every year at Comic-Con. Oh, Supergirl, we're going to that conference,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, I don't know, there's some good characters in there. I just, really, I need to give it a chance. So once they got another season under their belt, I think I'm gonna go back in and watch it through and through up to where it's at, and cast my judgments. Then we'll see how it is.
Martian Manhunter, baby.
Yeah, I've seen a couple episodes, and it hasn't been horrible. It hasn't been great, but it hasn't been horrible.
Sure.
But the same can be said for Smallville. We pointed out a few episodes that were pretty subpar. So
yeah, and one other thing, I just want to like another side note. Along with this is that we share all this and everybody's more vocal and we're all more kind of social in an antisocial way, if you will, on like, Facebook and Twitter and all that. But, when you watch those shows, like Joe, you probably know, like you probably remember when you watched like Time of Day and stuff, and it felt more special because it kind of feels like when you watch those shows on TV, especially, it's like, oh yeah, like late at night at like 2 a.m. they'd be playing Smallville. And that's when I'd be watching. And I felt like the only person in the world watching, like it was just for me. Kind of those things. Like it's so, you have like an emotional connection because it's like just you in the show. It's not like everyone all over the internet now where you can just be like, oh, you could type something in and you just see all this stuff. It's a little more easier. You could do that back in the day, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. Sure. So that's something to consider too. But you're totally right. The casting on point. I still want to see another Lionel. Wait, no, not Lionel. Is it? Yeah, Lionel Luthor. It'd be kind of cool to see that whole father dynamic again, but we have to, in freaking Batman vs. Superman, we still have to see Lex proper, Lex Sr., so we'll see what that is. Maybe that's Rosenbaum. Probably not.
Yeah, okay, we gotta admit, I mean, casting choices were good. I like Tom Welling. Played a good Clark Kent. I mean, led the show pretty well. Chloe Sullivan, Allison Mack, pretty good. That fit the role well, and I liked her. Lana Lang, Kristen Crook. I thought she fit the role really well. They actually got the hair color right in Smallville, unlike freaking Man of Steel. Anywho.
Well, also, the problem with Lana is that going in, like, if you're a Superman fan at all, you're like, well, he's not going to end up with Lana. So the first few seasons, for me anyway, I was like, well, this is kind of pointless.
No! How long did I hope, like, maybe they'll switch it up for this TV show. Maybe they will end up together. And I started crossing my fingers and it never happened. Anywho. Lois Lane, I thought that was a good choice too. Erica Durance, she really did a good job. Yeah, there were a couple phony episodes, cheesy crap that threw it, but
that
she
was
was
good
show. For the most part.
Yeah.
And then you hit the ones that really hit it home for me that I thought were just amazing. Obviously, Tom Welling up there, but Lex Luthor, Michael Rosenbaum, and then Lionel Luthor that was John Glover?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Come on, you can't tell me those guys weren't just amazing actors that just brought those roles to life in the best way possible.
Yeah, they're like it's like the hammy version of like mostly Lionel. He had like a lot of just like cliched, like I'm gonna sit in a room. Well, Lex did this too. Sit in a room with the classical music and kind of like spin around in a chair type of thing. They were kind of like that.
But it was always so intense and dramatic, and the way they delivered lines and the seriousness of it, and Lex's responses and him dealing with the turmoil of his family and that sort of thing, and how he dealt with Clark as opposed to that, was awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously it spirals in the end, but it's just great stuff.
Sure.
So Supergirl, you got a lot to live up to. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, we still have to give it a fair shake. If you really like Supergirl, please let us know, down in the comments, or tweet at us and just say like, hey, like I love Supergirl, or maybe you don't. Maybe you really like Smallville. Maybe you don't like Smallville. Maybe you're like, hey guys, stop talking about Smallville, all right? Is this a Smallville podcast? It probably isn't.
Hey, why not?
No, please, God, no. Sorry, it'd be too much.
No, I'd like to hear from the people too. I mean, listeners, let us know what you think. I'm always curious. If you say any vulgar things about Smallville, I will find you.
And he'll be sad about it. He'll be like, why don't you like this? Please like this. So, Joe, getting to the next thing I want to talk to you about. Avengers Infinity War. It's 2 movies, or it was. It was going to be Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah.
Now it's gone from that to Avengers just Infinity War, and then we have an untitled next movie. And so what the Russo brothers have been saying is that this is going to be one of the hardest things they've done, but this is crazy. Within 48 hours, Joe, they're going to shoot scenes, go and look at those scenes, edit them, and see if they're working, and keep doing that every 48 hours to make sure that it's working well, which is insane. Like, imagine that, Joe. Just like you shoot like a scene, like a crazy scene, like I don't know if this plot thread's good, and like you go watch it, look at it, cut it, and be like, yes, it works, let's keep going with it, or no, it doesn't, like let's keep going with it. That's really intense. My question to you, Joe, is like the Justice League, which was like going to be like in 2 parts. Now it's just 1. They're just doing just the 1. Do you think it's smarter to do just that and focus on like, let's just get this 1 movie out, let's get it done and see how it does, as opposed to like trying to do like a really hardcore cliffhanger and say like, all right, well, if you want to see this, you got to come next year for Part 2, baby. Like, what do you think about that? What do you think about splitting it up as opposed to just keeping it in 1 chunk?
Well, I think the number 1 issue is, first off, when you try and jam pack it into 1 long film, Part 1, the only part, you try and jam it. You try and jam. It's like a guy that can only fit 25 marshmallows in his mouth at once.
Sure.
And you're making this film, and you're like, oh, you know what? But we really need to get 3 more in there. Next thing you know, you got a frickin' vice on the guy's head. You're trying to squeeze 3 more marshmallows in that mouth, and it just isn't working, and you blow out his teeth.
Oh.
That's how bad jamming everything in the 1 film can be if you have a lot to fit into it. That's where I think Marvel's got a good plan. 2 parts, We don't know the second title. Okay, no big deal. I don't really care about the damn title. I think it's good if they spread it out. It makes it more engaging, leaves you wanting more. It's smart on their part because they know it's like, let's make double the money.
Yeah, no matter what. I mean? Yeah.
Obviously, they're spending more, but it's good for the longevity of the storyline. It'll keep these movies going for even longer by spreading it across 2 films instead of jamming it into one big fluff film. So I didn't hear this, Jimmy, but Justice League is doing a 1-part film.
Yeah, they were going to be 2 parts, and now they're just like, we're just going to do the one. I'm pretty sure that's the last I heard about it, which I think is a smart idea because they've had a lot of issues recently. And I think just like saying, all right, let's just get this one done and just call it Justice League. And then the next one just can be Justice League 2, or Justice League 3. Like, you don't have to get crazy with it.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of speculation that you can do with Marvel because you have an idea of where they're going.
Yeah.
You have an idea of the larger, more ominous threats that are out there for the team.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Justice League and DC, you don't quite know where they're going. Obviously, we speculated what's this one that they're coming out with first before Darkseid? It's
Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
So okay, that's not even confirmed. I mean, as far as we know, that's speculation right now.
Well, we saw him in the end of we kind of saw him in the extended edition of Batman vs Superman, that Ultimate Edition. So he's kind of confirmed. We haven't really talked names yet, but.
Well, I didn't see the Ultimate Extended version. I'm going to have to buy that.
Oh my gosh. If we could do a commentary, Joe, I wish we could on that, because it's 3 hours long. We can't. We can. We'd have to probably either... Oh, I guess we could do it just like this, Joe. We could just sit and watch it. The problem is... Yeah, we'd have to watch it on our computers, so that way we could do it through our headphones. Yeah, we're talking about this. Why are we talking about this? Yes, we could do this. It's like a 3-hour film, though, Joe, and it doesn't really add on to anything. It ties up a few loose ends and plot threads, but there isn't really anything else like vastly interesting. I'm sorry. The one thing that they did add that I liked is that at the end of the bombing of the capital city, spoilers, Superman doesn't immediately fly away. He he rescues like a person or two. He brings them outside because in the original cut, I think he just kind of flies away immediately. He goes outside and he's like, and you're like, whoa, no, where are you going?
Yeah, that's me as Superman, asshole Superman.
Yeah, they're like, how dare you? But anyway, so you were just saying about that. What about that now?
Wait, what?
You were talking about the extended edition. You're talking about that and where they're going with that Steppenwolf. You didn't see that, so you're.
Oh yeah. So it's hard to really understand where they're going. You didn't have a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy, which really alluded to the dark, ominous threat that's out there to the Marvel universe. They had these building blocks that were able to really foreshadow upcoming events or possible routes for them to take in the filmmaking in the future. So, and that's just the fact of the matter. DC is a little bit behind. The why they feel they need to make up all this time on Marvel, I don't know. It makes no sense to me. Do your own thing, build up to it, and you guys could have the same success Marvel had. You have just as big as a fan base. Be smart about it. Take your time. You don't have to compete with Marvel. I just...
Joe, do you want... I want to compare this. So I'm going to make a little metaphor here. And people will be like, you're a Marvel fanboy. But I feel like Marvel is like that hardworking and pretty smart student who's just been working really hard all the time. And it's paying off. The teacher's like, yeah, you're doing so well. You're crushing on the tests. I can tell you're studying a lot. And this person's been like, yeah, I've been just studying all year. I just really want to do this. And then you have another pretty smart kid who's just who's seeing this, and he just doesn't. Maybe he or she's not doing their homework a lot. And they're just why should I? I'm just as smart as this kid. They do as well in the tests, but it's not paying off in dividends. They're not getting all the praise and stuff. And they're trying to what can I do right now to be as good as this kid? Because I want my grade to be just as good. Come on, what do I do? And I feel like it's just a lot of money, with the companies right now, because WB and everybody with the DC stuff, they're like, hey man, these Marvel guys, they put the word Avengers or Captain America on a movie, it makes $1 billion. That's all they have to do, almost just be there it is. And obviously the quality of their films is really good. And you're talking about too many marshmallows, and my kind of retort to that would be look at Captain America Civil War. they had like almost like 15, almost like 20 superheroes in that movie. How the heck did they do that? And it made sense. And they still showed off like two sides of this. They still kind of focused on Cap, maybe not as much as they needed to for being like a Captain America movie.
How many new characters did they introduce?
Let's see. They obviously Black Panther and Spider-Man.
Black Panther.
Yeah. Are those the only two? They might have, but then bringing all of those guys into that movie, like that's kind of a big deal. Yeah, it's
basically an Avengers movie is a big deal.
Exactly.
But I don't feel like they... Yeah, character introductions and features, but I don't feel like they overstuffed it as far as plot or things going on.
Exactly, and that's why I'm saying that you can do a lot in a movie as long as you let it breathe. And that's the problem I have personally with like Batman vs Superman. It's not a horrible film, but they probably, like I was talking about Chris earlier, but he said like that Wonder Woman kind of going through the other Justice League members on that computer file. That would have been a really good post-credit scene or something. While it's like playing in the background, because it just felt like they announced, or they were like, oh, Wonder Woman's in this now, and we got new Batman, we got Lex Luthor, we got like all these other Justice League people, we got Doomsday. It's just like there's so much in that movie that they just kind of like forced on you, whereas like they looked at Captain America and they're like, all right, well, here's this movie, add two new huge members to Marvel cast now, and we're going to go forward with them. They're going to get their own spin-off solo movies, and it'll be just fine. And I think, looking at Infinity War, depending if they just like keep it like the same thing, because apparently the scripts are being written at the same time. I don't know if Thanos will be the same, like the villain for both. But what I was kind of hoping for, Joe, is like if they're going to still do a two-parter, which I know it gives it a lot more room to breathe, but I really wanted just a scene of just Thanos at the end of one of these movies, just like landing on the Bifrost Bridge in Asgard and like walking towards Asgard, just, by himself, like going in to go get whatever last gems there were, he's like kind of attack Asgard alone. Like I thought that would be kind of cool, but I don't know if they're gonna try to say like Thanos is gonna be defeated after Infinity War, and the next movie will be a completely new villain, because I feel like that would be kind of like a slap in the face to the build up of Thanos, because we've been building up Thanos for like a decade, so it's probably still gonna be him. They'll just probably name it something different. Maybe. I don't know. Do you think they'll keep Thanos, or do you think they'll kind of go with something new?
They'll keep Thanos.
Keep him? Yeah. They probably kind of have to. I mean, they can't... Who else do they go to? Like Galactus, they don't have the rights to. They could do like a Masters of Evil thing with like Ultron and Enchantress and all that, but we'll wait to see if that happens. But yeah, I don't know what they're going to name it. The thing is, a lot of these, Joe, are obviously like a name of a comic, like the Infinity War and, Civil War and, Dark Knight Returns. No. But, I think for Justice League, I think it's okay to just do the one, see where it goes, and then just wait for a while and then call it Justice League 2. Make it a whole new thing. We don't have to split every movie in two parts. But for Avengers, seeing that there's going to be two Avengers movies within 2 years, basically, I think that whatever they're doing, it's hard to not trust Marvel right now, Joe. I mean, look at some of the movies. I keep telling people, like, look at Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't know any of those people. Nobody knew any of those people, and now we know all of them. Like, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, all, like, it's crazy. Now Doctor Strange is coming, which is going to open up all this magical stuff, which we've talked about. And that movie's probably going to be like a 7 or an 8. It's not going to be like the craziest, amazing thing ever, but it's not going to be bad, I don't think. And I think that it's hard to distrust them at this point. They've given us no reason to distrust them, really, except for Iron Man 3. That's it. That was just a weird twist. It's all right. But you're all for the two-parter still. You don't want them to go with a brand new villain or anything?
No, I don't feel so. I think it should just be a continuation of the story they were going with in the first place. I don't want the Avengers to triumph in the first part of the movie. Sure. Or I want it to seem as though they may have triumphed, but then, closing scene allude to, the threat isn't over. You thought you may have won. Sure. Well, that's what they kind of end some of those other Avengers movies. Do you think they would do something more along the lines of, like, all of them have fallen? And it's kind of one of those, like, tune in next week to see if Batman will make it out of the acid pit kind of thing, Like, they're going to be like, oh, they all going to die? It's like, oh, no, I mean, is either way really wrong? That's true. Do you think they will kill somebody?
in this movie. They've been building up to it a long time. And if Thanos might wipe out every like almost all the sentient life in the world or universe, half of it, but he probably won't. Do you think he'll kill anybody?
Yeah.
Who do you think he's gonna kill? Hawkeye.
Vision.
Yeah.
Vision.
Vision for sure. Oh, Joe, good call. Yeah, probably Vision's gone. Just back to Jarvis.
Little punk ass piece of crap.
Do you think they'll kill off Hawkeye?
No, he's got a family to go to. I got a feeling Hawkeye won't even show up.
He might though. He's kind of returned. He was back for Civil War, which was he was perfect. I thought in that movie, just enough, not too much, not too little. He's just like there, and he's gone.
Well, he knew none of his buddies were gonna kill him outright.
You know that's like Iron Man, Cap, and Black Widow are all safe because they make too much money.
Yep.
Can't kill Hulk. Can't really kill Thor. Do you kill?
Can you?
No, I don't think
Just
so.
kidding. We're not gonna get into that.
Can you kill Thor? How about Scarlet Witch? She's new. They probably won't.
Yeah, she's killable, but I don't think she'll die.
I don't think they kill someone like War Machine either, because like he suffered kind of a traumatic experience at the end of Civil War, and then if he like went back into the fray and died, it'd be like no.
No.
Yeah,
Thanos trips. What's his name again?
War Machine?
Yeah, see, that's how much I care. Anyway, War Machine, done with a hard day's work at the base, still recuperating a bit, walking down the hallway in his cane. Thanos shows up.
Oh my gosh.
Shakes him upside down for his lunch money and stuffs him in a locker.
When did this turn into like a high school drama? You're still in Smallville, man.
Yeah.
Then it's like, all I need is your money.
I think that's a good direction. Good direction. And guess what? No breathing holes in the locker, and it's got foam seals around the jam, baby.
Oh man,
suffocates and dies.
So it's like that Buried movie with Ryan Reynolds turns into like a suspense thriller. This was kind of a question I was going to pose to my some of my favorite podcasters, Mr. Sunday Movies and Wikipedia Brown. You should check them out. They do this thing called the Weekly Planet. But my question is going to be, and I can ask you this too, Joe. Which genre would you like to see the MCU tackled next? We've kind of had like our Cold War thriller with like Captain America, Winter Soldier. You know, we have like our big bombastic kind of, you know, the Avengers, big action movies. You had like Ant-Man, which was more like an Ocean's 11 heisty type. Would you rather see like maybe like a suspense type thing? Would you rather see like a romantic comedy? Would you rather see a buddy cop movie? Like which of those three? Is there any of that jump out at you? I can kind of guess what you're gonna pick, but
yeah. How about a suspense thriller mystery style one? Huh?
Who would you base that around?
Well, there's no Batman in the Marvel universe. So.
No.
Who would fit that the best? I don't know. You could give it to the young punk, you know, little Spider-Man in high school.
Yeah, I think he might have a little detectiving to do in his movie. I thought you could almost do like a horror Venom movie, but I don't know if you want to go too horror route, because then like in one movie he'd be terrifying, and then like what if he teams up with him in the next movie? Like in it'd be like,
you don't want to do that. But that was going to be my next point: is a horror aspect superhero movie would be pretty dang awesome.
We'll get to it.
Think about this. You take the power of a superhero movie and the money making potential that a superhero movie brings, and you add in something that's known to be not as successful, but still sought after film style in its own right. You bring in that horror into that, and you can make horror a very successful thing. But you got to do it right. You don't want to go hokey and over the top. Make it more of a monster type deal because it fits with the superhero style.
Sure.
You know, obviously there's mutant type people and monsters out there. So it fits with that superhero genre. Just mesh the two together a little bit. And guess what? Put one of your big lead superheroes in there and you got a Halloween weekend release. Box office implosion.
I'm going to tell you one thing quick, Joe. I like where your head's at. I think I'm just going to be like business Jimmy here. I think that you can't market the horror as well because you can't get like the 8 and 9-year-olds for a PG-13 movie to go. You know, like the parents aren't going to bring them to like, my kid's going to be up all night because Venom was terrifying. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't work out as well. So they probably
come on. They don't have to advertise it as horror.
Well, how are you going to advertise a horror movie? You'd be like, yeah, one weekend it's like Cap and Iron Man were hanging out, but then the lights went out. Like, what's that in the vents?
Just add a couple scary flashes to the previews and
couple scary flashes is just Venom like, hey. he's kind of like doing a little cat boy like like
No, just show like if it was a Spider-Man featured film, just have Spider-Man somewhere in the dark and a light comes on and he turns and he's like, you know, it's a scare moment, but it doesn't show you who the mystery person is, etc. It just shows that Spidey's scared and it's dark.
Maybe when they do the Spider-Man with like Venom as the main villain, Joe, it'll just be like a stylized action movie, if you will, but they'll have horror elements where like at the end of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3, like when he's trying to fight Venom, he's like looking around for him for a second and his spider sense isn't working, and then like Venom drops down, grabs him by the head and like throws him upwards, and like that scene's like a little bit scary. If you played with that while he was fighting like a huge hulking Venom, that'd be cool.
It could be done, the whole Venom Spider-Man thing, horror aspects, and release it around Halloween. And then, okay, well, what if Spider-Man teams up with Venom down the road? You don't want Venom to be too freaking scary and bad and evil.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay. No, let him be bad, scary, and evil to start with.
Sure.
But then make the circumstances so grave that in the end they come to terms and end up having to team up. Something, you know, it can be done. Sure. I don't know what your plot is or how you're writing the story, but it can be done. Just get creative with it. It's plausible. So I'm not putting that one in the grave yet.
Yeah, well, like look at something like, it's a little more grounded, but Dark Knight. I mean, the Joker, it's more of like an action movie or like a crime movie, if you will. But there are moments where he's got like the video camera and he's gonna like cut the dude up, or they drop that dead guy's body in a Batman outfit against the window, and it's like there's like a few jump kind of moments or scary kind of creepy things in that movie a little bit. And I think you kind of interject some of that in there. I do, Joe. Honestly, if he does team up with Spider-Man, which he probably will and has, I would love to see. That would be the Sinister Six movie I want to watch, Joe. It's the Sinister Six from their perspective fighting Spider-Man and Venom together. That is a heck of a movie right there.
Ooh,
oh my gosh. That'd be so intense. It's so
intense. $1 million idea, and good thing we called the patent office yesterday and we put rights on that one, so nobody's stealing that one from us.
You're welcome, Sony and Marvel.
We will sue.
We'll get you. I love that idea. Which reminds me of another idea that I was talking about. Again, I keep bringing him up because we were chatting so much the other night while I was playing Life is Strange. But Chris McKee came up with this cool idea, Joe. You know the Arkham... We're switching over to DC. You know the Arkham games, the Arkham Origins and Asylum and City and Night and all those Batman games.
Sure.
Arkham Origins was one. It was like the third one, but it's like a prequel, and it is like one night where there's a ton of assassins that are hired by Black Mask to kill the Batman.
He deserved it.
And what Chris was saying was wouldn't it be cool if we got a movie, because there's kind of the rumor right now that there's going to be the standalone Batman one where it's going to be like Arkham Asylum where he gets locked in a prison and has to fight his way out. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a movie where, you know, Batman was kind of, you know, it was just one night. Batman was just kind of doing, you know, making his rounds, and like there's Deadshot, like Deathstroke, Bane, like a new Bane, and, you know, a bunch of assassins, and the movie was like Batman surviving the night against all of these like highly trained assassins. I think it'd be a heck of a film.
Yeah, it probably would be.
What do you think? It wouldn't be huge scale, which is kind of cool. I think it'd be a little more intimate because each fight would just be like one-on-one stuff.
For sure.
I think would be really cool. And a lot of hand-to-hand, which we saw, like that's one of the best things Zack Snyder is good at. He's really good at doing like that warehouse scene is probably the best one in Batman vs Superman where he's fighting against all those guys. Picture that against like a Deathstroke. How amazing that fight scene would be. And, you know, Batman can't kill him, but Deathstroke's constantly trying to murder him, you know? It'd be so cool.
I think it's a good idea. It'd
Joe.
be pretty jam packed, and I think they'd have
Yeah.
to introduce some other aspects to it. Like why is he? I mean, yeah, other aspects to the plot and why he's doing what he's doing, where he's at, why he's there, etc.
It's just it's just a regular night out on the town. He's just making his rounds, and then you got Will Smith in there because he's Deadshot now, and he's trying to he's trying to snipe the bat. And and that would be cool because he'd have to like think his way to get to it, because that's how it usually is with Deadshot in the games. Like you can't just go run at him, like he'll just gun you down. So you have to be intelligent and be like, all right, I have to figure out how to do this. I just think it'd be really cool.
Tell me this: do you find it hard to picture Will Smith as an evil character?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, the closest I ever got was like Hancock, where he's kind of like an anti-hero, and he's just kind of like, I don't care about the world, blah, blah, blah.
That's true.
So
That's true. He's
probably been a villain in something else before. I don't remember, but we'll see. He's probably going to be an anti-hero again in this Suicide Squad movie, Joe. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be as bad. They're going to humanize him. He had a family he lost, I'm sure, and whatever.
I don't think he'll be seen or portrayed as that bad of a character. I think you're right.
I think another thing, I really like the idea, and I was kind of telling this guy, and I said, like, hey, like, do we want to see another Bane? Because we've seen 2 now, technically. We saw the one in Dark Knight Rises. There was one back in, like, Batman Forever. She was, like, working with Ivy. I forget if that's Batman Forever. It's a garbage one. But I'd love to see another Bane, a cool Bane on Venom, like that juice that makes him juiced up. And then another one he was saying, too, was, like, a proper, good Mr. Freeze. Like a scary, intimidating. That's what I've been talking about for a long time. I want to see Mr. Freeze, and now that we're in like a more amped up superhero world where Dark Knight really couldn't have a dude with like an ice gun, like that series couldn't really do that. We could do that with this. So I think, except he wouldn't be an assassin. That might be another standalone one, but I think the Night of Assassins, man, could be real good. Joe's like, I'm thinking about it.
I am thinking about it. How would they make Mr. Freeze legit and not hokey like in Batman Forever or whatever it was?
Just play. Oh, you're never gonna play, but Arkham City, man, had the most legitimate Mr. Freeze. He was terrifying.
Expand on that.
He's wearing like that big suit or whatever, but he kind of, his face, that face mask was covered, like that clear face kind of bubble. And it was kind of iced over, so you couldn't really always see him. So it's kind of like that with the red eyes.
Oh, I've seen it.
And it's like dark. It's like a big black, kind of like silver, like not silver, but like big metal mechanical suit. And it's just like you can't. He's like one of Batman's foes. You can't just like charge in and just try to punch your way through it. He'll just gun you down. He's very cool, and no pun intended. But I think Mr. Freeze is really interesting. And as I probably said before, he's very compelling because he's doing all of this for his wife, who's in suspended animation because she got ill. She's terminally ill, and they haven't found a cure for her or something along those lines. So he's doing all this, trying to get all this money to figure out, because he's a scientist. He's going to try to save his wife. So he's very intelligent. He's very calculated, and he has a lot of fun interactions with Batman that a lot of his villains, besides like the Joker and Riddler, can't really have. Like, he's not going to sit with, like, Killer Croc and, have, like, back and forth. Like, Mr. Freeze he'd be like, he'd be throwing stuff back in his face, which I want to see. But, yes, I want to see that. The Mr. Freeze
to get the hell over it.
Get over his wife?
Yeah.
But her name is Martha. They're all Martha, Joe. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh
no, she's not.
Oh my God.
I don't think she is, no.
Inception.
Also,
they all have the same mother.
Yeah, but Red Hood, another one that he had suggested, being one of Batman's former Robins that turns bad, being hired by someone like the Penguin, he was saying that too would be cool for the Night of Assassins, because he'd be fighting this guy, and then he'd find out, he'd be like, oh my God, you're Jason, like what? I thought you were dead, man, because that's exactly how Batman talks. But I think that would be really cool, and regardless, I think the Batman with Ben Affleck kind of helming this stuff, I think we have a lot of cool movies to be excited about as far as those go, but we'll still see. We'll see how Justice League goes. Anyway, Joe, weirdly enough, I know we didn't have a lot of news this week. That's as far as we got with news, but we're going to go into this next segment, which is so lovingly referred to as Timekillers. Yes, it is time for Timekillers. If you're unaware with what that is, it is basically what Joe and I have been, not together necessarily, but what we've been watching, we've been playing, we've been viewing, doing all that stuff. So Joe, I'm going to go first this week, because guess what? It's pretty much the same thing as last week. Played through the 4th episode of Life is Strange on Xbox One. It's like $8 for all of them right now, which is really cool. Really big plot twist at the end, which is really neat. It's been fun to stream. And I continued watching Vikings over on Amazon, the instant video. I'm not getting paid to endorse these things. It's just where I've been watching them. It's pretty good. It's weird. In season, I'm in season 4 now, but season 3 and starting in 2, it stopped being as much about Vikings. It's more about the Vikings and then the French and the English. So kind of interesting. But yeah, Joe, what about you? You been play anything, watch anything different?
I'm on the same cloud you are, Jimmy.
Same cloud. That's
same
right.
Cloud. Strange clouds.
Strange clouds. And that means that you're basically just watching Game of Thrones here and there.
That's a song by what's his name? Frickin' A.
That's the one.
Bobby Ray, yeah. Anywho, B.O.B. Same stuff as the past few weeks. Been real busy with work, haven't gotten into much new stuff lately. But so that means Game of Thrones, almost to season 6, about to finish up season 5 here, people. I'm hooked. I am in the fan base now. Please accept me. Anywho, MXGP2, loving that game.
You gotta stream more of that game, Joe.
I'll stream a bit more. Drew and I have actually been playing online against each other and a bunch of AI. And we'll turn up the difficulty, and him and I will just hammer it out. Last night we had a really good match, racing each other. He just went in with the goal of, okay, it was on medium difficulty. He went in with the goal of just running a clean race and not crashing. That's all he had to do. No matter what I did, I'm telling you, I wasn't even letting off the throttle, guys. I only crashed 3 times, but that's all it took. So I was at an 8-second deficit in the end after passing 5 people. Last lap, I brought that 8 seconds down to 4, and he won it. But it's just a lot of fun. It is very true and accurate to real life. Realistic as all get out, and I love it. So if any of you are motorsports or racing fans, get after it, and I'll try and stream some more on the Critical Reviews Twitch channel. So
yes, please. We're gonna, Joe. Like I said, maybe in the fall we can start getting more on a more set thing. Be oh, Joe streams Wednesday nights. For sure he'll stream Wednesday nights. Maybe another night if you can, kind of thing. I think that'd be kind of fun. That way people would know. They'd be oh, I want to see Joe. I'm sick of Jimmy. Which please don't say that. Anyway, there's our Timekillers. Nothing too crazy. But also let us know what are you watching? What are you playing? You tell us what we'd love to hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Any recommendations for us? I'd be happy to check stuff out. So
that's
get after us.
Really good point, Joe. Yes, your recommendations. That is an excellent point, Joe.
I'm just kidding. I don't really care.
How dare you? No.
I'm just kidding. Get after us, people.
He's kidding about kidding. Right. Anyway, so now we're going into questions, which I still don't know if I have anything special I want to say for questions as far as an intro to it. But because we've been talking about him all night, this is the Chris McKeague show. He had a really good question for me. He says, Echo Critical. So if you want to tweet me that. He says, if Suicide Squad is as bad as the reviews suggest, where does that leave the DCEU, or the DC Extended Universe, after 3 critical failures? #critical podcast. Joe, do you want me to start in on this one?
Get after it. I want to know what you think, because I don't know. Basically, restart at ground zero, I guess. I don't know. Yeah,
you could definitely do that. I think the reviews it's too early right now. I haven't really seen any reviews. I try not to look at any of them. And I'm going to see it on Thursday. And I'm hoping Joe sees it this weekend so we could talk about it next week, but we'll see if that happens. And hopefully review will be up. It'll probably be up by Sunday because I'm going to be gone all weekend. But I apologize. Maybe it'll be up earlier than that. But I think if this is the 3rd critical failure, and I think if they can't make this work, which is going to be vastly different from both Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, Extended Edition, or whatever, Ultimate Edition. I just don't know where you go from there, because I feel like right now they're trying to do all the things they think they should. They're all right, we got a solid cast in place. We got this kind of edgy group, kind of Guardians of the Galaxy style with this. They can't get any stranger. They've done their tent pole. You got your 3 in Batman vs. Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman. And if that's not going to work, and then if this weird offshot group doesn't work, I just don't know where you go from there. I think you just they're still learning, and I think they're dedicated to this moving forward, and I just think you'll see more and more shifts tonally. Like if there's like a dark meter and like kind of a lighter tone meter, they're cranking it closer and closer over to the lighter tone, just because it's more appealing, I think, to the masses. And I think the people want to have a good time. They don't want to feel sad and depressed when they walk out of a superhero movie. Oh, Joe, hey, you know that at the end of Batman vs Superman, it's not a very happy film. You know, it doesn't need to be. Not all superhero movies need to be, but like for your starting films, like Iron Man, you know how that movie ends? He's like, I am Iron Man. Like that's what he says, and it's just like, oh, like he's just like, I'm a cocky jerk. Like Captain America, he's in a brand new world. It's just like, oh, this is interesting. It's intriguing. But with these other movies, it's kind of like, you know where they're going, but it's still kind of like a sad trip. So I think they're just going to get more fun. And that's, they keep some of the, the heavy tones. Not that you can't do that, but I think they're just going to keep looking more and more and say like, all right, what are we doing wrong? But I think this movie's going to do better. I think it's not going to be too bad. I think people are really going to like this one, but we'll see.
No,
Joe?
I think so too. I'm excited for it. I really going in with low expectations, but I think it's going to be entertaining more than anything. A little more action packed and engaging and fast paced. I don't think there's going to be a lot of thinking or sitting around. It's going to be just
I think it's going to be moving.
A little bit of jolliness in there, stuff to get a chuckle out of you, which is good. But still, there's going to be that serious tone too, I think, and some gravity to the situations they're put in. So
maybe
that mix of all of those qualities, I think, will be good. And I don't have any reservations about it. I think they're doing their homework. I think they're going to get it together. So I don't think it's going to be a flop by any means. Do I think it's going to be as successful as Marvel? Maybe not. But
that's not the question, Joe. It's just saying, he's asking where does that leave them after this? Let's just say it fails. What if this movie fails? What do they do? You're a DC executive and you're sitting there, or you're Warner Brothers, and they're like, Joe, this isn't working. What do we do? What do we do?
Yeah, go sit in that boardroom, tell them all how bad they fucked up.
Yeah, you could do that too. Yeah, I just think that you just keep going. They're trying to do this just look at the new Justice League trailer. It's definitely lighter in tone, more happy, kind of like, let's just have fun. You want to come to the movie theater? You want to have a good time? We're gonna have a good time. I think that's what you do. I think you just keep going more than that. Have a movie once in a while that is kind of depressing and dour if you need to, but I think doing this only because Dark Knight was so successful with this style, and they're doing it because they're like, we can't be just like Marvel. I think that's stupid. I say, do it better than Marvel. Do exactly what Marvel's doing, do it better. And then Marvel does it better than you, and then they do it better again. Like, just keep pushing each other. Don't be like, well, we have to be the dark emo kid because, like, the happy-go-lucky one's doing well. It's like, no, you don't have to do that. Just compare yourself to yourself. Learn from that, If it's not working, then shift. And guess what? The dour tones might work in other films. Like, the problem is, I think, Joe, for you, is that you like movies kind of like on the Underworld series, where that tone is perfect. Like that dark, kind of brooding, like creepy tone. It works really well. But like you do that for every movie in like a superhero franchise, and you're just like, these aren't the characters you know and love. I mean, look at Smallville. Not dour at all, for instance. Happy-go-lucky, nostalgic feelings, good times.
The nostalgic feelings.
Mm-hmm. And that happens.
Gives you the feels.
That's all I have to do. If I want to get Joe on my side, I'm just like, Smallville. And then Joe's like, yeah. No. But, yeah, I'm excited. I'm thinking they're going to keep moving forward with that.
Pause. Jimmy, you're absolutely right.
Oh.
You want me to come to your side? You want to make me happy? Just say Smallville.
Smallville.
Somebody save me. I can't sing. I can't do it.
That's beautiful.
Can't do it. I'm sorry, people. Sorry.
But Chris, that's a great question. I think, like we talked about, they're still doing all right. I think, hopefully Justice League really kicks. I really want DC to be that competitor for Marvel, because I don't want Marvel to just completely blow everybody out of the water. I might like the characters over there more, but I still want to see, I still like DC characters. I want to see what they can do at their full potential. Don't exactly copy everything Marvel does, but say like, hey, this has really worked for them. Let's not desperately try to catch up. I just wish they would have done it. I think, Joe, it'd be easier if they would have just said like, all right, let's just do the Batman movie by itself and Wonder Woman and then do Justice League. Like don't they're just so they just want to get there. They want to be there. They just want to get there, but they haven't put in the work yet.
I feel like we already know Batman enough, so screw the single movie for him. Just do Wonder Woman.
Oh no, they have to, Joe, because they got him as a director and they know that Batman makes money. They got Ben Affleck as director and they know that it's just guaranteed money. You put Batman on anything and you're just like, oh yeah, people see that. The problem really, weirdly enough, is that the Dark Knight trilogy just stalled the DC extended universe because Christopher Nolan's like, I'll do this, but it just can't be in an extended universe. Like, he can't. It's going to be by himself. He's going to be like in the modern day. And as good as those movies are, that's the reason I think primarily DC's fallen behind. And they've taken that tone and they're like, we got to do the same thing. It's like, no, guys, don't do it. Yeah. I don't know. Put more color in there, for goodness sakes. I like Superman. I'd like to see the blue and the reds, personally, a little bit more. And also, if you're going to make an action scene or whatever at the end of your movie and you're going to have like a hero die, presumably, make it die in a cool way, not a stupid way. Because, like, who's setting up these scenes, Joe? Are you getting bothered by these things? I always think, like, logically, why would you do this? Like, like logically, come on, guys.
Yeah, I don't know.
I never think that when I'm watching the superhero fights over the Marvel stuff. Like, when they're fighting, I'm not like, oh, why didn't he do that? I'm like, oh, he did what I probably would have if I had those powers,
That's true. Maybe they just don't have people that are nerdy enough in the writers' chairs. I don't know.
Yeah, come on, guys. Get it together. Plus, I want to see... The thing is, with DC, the power levels of the Justice League are, like, so insane. I want to see some just nutso fights. Like, don't make me wait.
Justice League meets Marvel the Avengers in one ultimate climax of power.
Yeah, unfortunately, I love the Avengers, and I like them more than the Justice League, but the Justice League is, like, ridiculous. It's like comparing Digimon to Pokemon. It just doesn't work. It's just, like, they just scale up, like, insane. Like,
well, why don't you get into that for a second, Jimmy? Pokemon versus Digimon. I don't understand.
So, Joe, I'll explain this. So, Pokemon, basically what happens is, let's say you have your Charmander. It's at, like, a certain power level. It evolves, so it kind of goes up and then plateaus a little bit, at Charmeleon, and it does the same for Charizard. What happens is you have Agumon, who kind of looks like a Charmander for Digimon. He can Digivolve into Greymon, which is like a spike in power, and then he can like Digivolve again to like Metal Greymon, and they go off into different things. They spike and spike and spike, so it's like exponential growth. But then after their battles, they go right back. He goes back to Agumon.
Losers.
Exactly. So it's just like they spike really hard and then they go back. It's not that I'm not saying that the DC people, it's not like Superman just goes like really powerful and then he's like, I'm so weak. Even though I think in one of the new comics, his solar flare makes him basically immortal for like 24 hours or 48 hours, his big explosion move. But I'm just comparing that kind of thing. So that's right. Pokemon is basically Marvel. But yeah, I just want to see a really crazy fight. Also, don't make me wait 3 hours to watch my fight, or 2.5 hours. Like, I want a few more fights here and there. There's too much sitting and talking in all these DC movies. Come on, guys. Let's cut to the chase.
And can we please kill off Lois?
Thank you.
Just kill her, please.
She is, oh my gosh.
Put me out of my misery and kill her.
If you haven't seen Batman vs Superman, or if you love that movie, it's fine. But she just gets in the way, and she ruins everything. She's like, I'll throw this kryptonite spear away. Oh wait, I should go down and get it. Oh wait, I'm trapped underwater. It's like, oh my gosh, just stop.
Save me again.
It's like, you shouldn't be out there. You really shouldn't be. He should have taken you away immediately.
Maybe
and been like,
for the next film, I'll dye my hair to the right color.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I probably sound like a stupid meathead for asking for those fight scenes, but really that's one of the biggest reasons we go to see these types of things, is to see these larger than life moments. And
Sure. And get into their interpersonal relationships a bit better. I don't think they've done those justice enough. So
I was just gonna say that, Joe. I was gonna say that's what I love.
Another dimension to the whole film and makes it more dramatic.
Well, it's
because let's face it, people feed off of drama, and we need it. It's not an addiction. I just really need it.
Okay, I just want to make one quick comparison. Like, the only time we really get to see a lot of interchange between, like, Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent is at that one dinner party. When you look at Civil War between Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, they've been having this fight for a long time. And seeing them still talking and trying to figure it out, and you're like, you can feel the tension. And, like, there's moments where Steve's like, oh, yeah, I could maybe... So there'd have to be, like, special things before I sign this act or whatever. And then he gets angry.
Just a little bit whiny?
I get it though,
I'm just
and
kidding.
it's
Okay.
I was like they do. I mean, obviously they labor on like that, but then when you see them fight later on, you feel bad. You're like, oh my gosh, like.
What team are you on, Jay? I never asked you this, but what team are you on?
I think you did. I for Team Cap or Team Iron Man. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Even though it might be dangerous to think this way, I still think Team Cap because it's like, yeah, the Avengers have their own, like their own thoughts and their own wants, and they kind of do whatever they want. But I honestly, at this point, trust the Avengers over any council or committee of 117 countries who basically could use them as a kill squad anytime they wanted.
It's like that corn song politics.
Yeah, I just don't. I like Iron Man. It's weird that he kind of goes more like government heavy, and I get they do a good enough job of making it seem like why he wants to do that. But I still it's like at this point, how many times? And yeah, we'll say this though. Maybe it should be Tony Stark alone who works for the government because he's caused a lot of problems. I mean, Ultron, that's his fault. Like that's on you, Tony. A lot of problems have been caused.
Why?
Because he created him.
Because he created
Ultron.
Jarvis.
But then he created Ultron separately, remember? Because they wanted to make AI, and then he was saying, like, what if we made a bouncer that, the next alien who came knocking at the door couldn't get past the bouncer. So basically he wanted to make a whole world of those Iron Man, like, suits that were just the skeletons that would be around the world to protect us in case any other aliens like the Chitauri ever showed up. Because they'd be like, all right, well, like, my Iron Legion's going to go out and take them out. And so if you gave it artificial intelligence, it would be able to decide what those threats were.
Yeah.
He's very unstable. I love Tony.
He's a freaking paranoid idiot is what he is.
I get, hey man, I'd be paranoid if I ran a nuke into space and I blew up a mothership and I fell through it. Like, I'd be like, I can't sleep.
Either he dies or he survives. He survived. Get over it. Go rob a bank or steal a pizza or something. You're freaking Iron Man.
Also, I love Cap because, like, you look at the first
Mansion. I don't know.
The first Avenger, he basically shuts down a lot of Hydra, and then in Winter Soldier, he's basically found out that the group he's been working for has been just, like, corrupt for a long time, and he helps take it down. Yes, he does help drop a whole bunch of helicarriers on our nation's capital, which probably isn't the best thing, but those things, if left unchecked, were going to kill many people. A lot of people. Yeah. So I think, and I love that movie too, Joe, because he talks about kind of like civil liberties, and he's talking about how, like, this isn't protection. You're just basically holding a gun to the head of the American people, and that's where Nick Fury's all like, well, that's how protection is. We gotta strike before anybody else gets the chance to strike us. So it's really cool because Marvel, they're posing those questions, and I feel like they tried to do it in Batman vs Superman, but we just didn't. We just kind of frittered off. Or talking about Martha. Martha's, dang it, Martha.
Yeah,
but
I think sometimes I feel like DC reaches on a broader spectrum, being that Superman is so above and beyond comprehension almost.
Yes, I just wish he were that kind of beacon of hope that he used to be, because he's so sad in these movies. Like Superman's like the ideal that you or I will never get to, but we always look up to. But he hasn't been that. To be honest,
Jimmy, I feel like we're gonna see a bit more of that in Justice League.
Yeah, I think he's gonna come back.
He's dead right now.
Yeah.
What do you think's gonna happen when he comes back and saves the day?
It's gonna be beautiful, and I hope they play like that Superman music, like not the old Superman, like the new stuff. Which, by the way, you should check. I mean, you too, Joe, but everyone should check out the old Man of Steel stuff, like when he's fighting Zod, or some of that music when he's flying and stuff. It is so good. Like, it's like such good Superman music. Oh my gosh! But yeah, it's gonna be amazing because he's gonna come in 11th hour style probably, and he's gonna catch a fist from somebody. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh. And like everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, it's Superman. Because they did a good job in that movie of kind of showing that like everyone knows who Superman is now. Like he's like a question. Like, should there be a Superman? What kind of laws do we imply or impose on someone who basically doesn't obey by any law of physics that we even know? How do you police that individual? How do you hold him accountable? Like, it's hard enough to hold the Avengers accountable. Try holding Superman accountable for anything. Thank goodness he's a nice guy, because like he'll show up to your meetings and stuff and be like,
he was raised right. He was raised on a farm.
He's
worked hard.
Yeah, when his dad wasn't busy telling him to let a bus of children die or drown, and then dying via tornado. And then his mother telling him, "You don't owe this planet a thing." Raised correctly. No, he doesn't owe this planet a thing. You don't owe us anything, Clark. Just keep your Zod off our planet. Which I'm sad about Zod still, Joe. I really wanted to see more with Zod.
They basically turned him into Doomsday, which isn't how it happened.
Yeah. Which did I still want that theory. I want like the one I made where it's like the guy who lost his legs, who was like the bomb in the wheelchair or whatever. What if that guy had been Doomsday, Joe? Like they did a bunch of stuff to get his legs back, quote unquote, but then turned him into an abomination. I thought that would have been kind of cool because he hates Superman, and
Sure.
it would be a reason to kill. Like, come on, like that's such an obvious plot point for. Oh man. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic here. Chris, thank you for the question though. Back to that, but yeah, I think we're gonna have more hope and more greatness in the future for Justice League, and I'm looking forward to it. So. I think, Joe, believe it or not, that's the show. Joe, oh my gosh, another show done. This is number 19, I believe. We're almost at 20. Look at that. Can you believe it?
Well, geez, oh, Pete, oh, crapesy.
Yeah. So, Joe, if people want to tweet at us, I know they can tweet me at GoCritical, capital G, capital C. If they wanted to tweet you with any questions with the hashtag Critical Podcast, where would they tweet? Where would they tweet it to?
Jimmy, do you even have to ask me this? Can't you just tell him?
Joe.
You know I forget every week, so...
We're partners on this, Joe. We gotta pretend...
It's at LeverJ627.
Oh my gosh, it's not J. There's no J. This is what I have to work with. We're pulling back the curtain. People are like, is this a 50-50 thing? No, it's not. It's like a 90-10 thing.
Listen
Jiminy
to
Christmas.
Jimmy, everybody. He knows. You're right, though. It's Lever627.
Lever _627.
I mean, it's J Lever6. Oh, Jimmy, you're correct. I apologize. It's at Lever _627. That's just like Beaver, only with an L.
Righto. We did it. One take.
Sorry, I just had to
Perfection.
drag that out. I hope somebody got a chuckle. Come on.
Yes, no, it's good. Well, I hope that, honestly, guys, tweet us anytime. But feel free to like this video, which is obviously just a podcast, and share it around with your friends. Please, that's the biggest thing you can do. And comment. Let us know your feedback about the video, about all the things we're talking about, like the new Superman costume, the kind of taking the Avengers and Justice League and making them one movie, maybe not a two-part for Infinity War, and some of the other stuff, the questions we posed this week, or recommendations for movies and games and stuff, because if you make a recommendation and we've seen it or played it, we can talk about that, or if we haven't, then we can watch it and talk about that. So yeah, let's see, what are we forgetting here, Joe? We have PayPal. If you want to throw us a few bucks, you can throw us a buck or two. We're trying to get Joe his capture card, so any support is greatly appreciated, so you can see his beautiful face on Twitch. But we are streaming most nights. It's been hectic recently. I apologize. Like I said, I was streaming Life is Strange. I'll probably stream it again hopefully next week sometime. It's gonna be I've been house sitting a lot for people.
What do people want to see us stream? We
Yeah.
stream a lot of Overwatch
question.
together.
Yeah.
I stream a bit of MXGP2. You stream a lot of... Well, you stream a good variety of games, and you even do a Throwback Thursday. But
Thank you. Yeah.
what
that's
do
a good
people
question.
want to see us play together besides Overwatch, which we love to play together? That's probably our
Yeah.
favorite game right now. But you guys want to see us throw it back to some Halo? You guys want us to mix in another game? I mean, throw out your comments. I want to know what you guys want to see. What do you think you'd want to watch for an hour or two, and hang out with us?
Yeah, definitely. And, this back to shamelessly plugging, but if you do donate on PayPal and you don't want to, if you want to donate to something specifically like a game and you're like, okay, Jimmy, here's $20 or Joe, here's $30 for this, and I want to see you play this game. Would you buy this game now with this money? Then we definitely will. Just because I want to get something for us doesn't mean if you donate that I'm going to put it right to that. If you're like, I want him to play like, No Man's Sky is coming out soon. It's like, if you want to see us play No Man's Sky and you're like, you want to donate money to that, that's totally fine. Like, because I probably wouldn't buy it myself anyway. So
Yeah, just let what you want.
yeah, what do you guys want? Because we're here for you. I know people have also talked about maybe us, trying to do like the video of this. Maybe we could do that one day. And I'm also trying to figure out, I want to put this on iTunes and Google Play. If anybody's had any, kind of experience with that in the past, please let me know, because the sooner I can do that, the sooner we can grow, because I really want to grow the community and have more of you lovely people to chat with, to converse with. So please leave a comment, even if it's just like hi or something, just like, anything. I love talking to you guys because, you're the reason. You are the reason. Wow, I don't know why I'm singing. I am now. But Joe, any other
confused.
Any closing thoughts, my dear friend? Anything else you want to say?
No, not really. Appreciate you guys all tuning in and listening. And Jimmy, as always, it's been fun, pal.
It has been fun. We will probably be back, I think, next week. We're doing this weekly thing. It's been going pretty well. One of these weeks, I'm afraid Joe's going to be like, I'm busy, so I'm going to just sit here for like an hour and talk to myself and then play like regular me and then like devil's advocate Jimmy, just back and forth to be like, oh my gosh, split personalities. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Take care, adapt, and overcome, and we'll see you next time.
Ka-chow.